loves. Hello my besties. Hi. Welcome to or welcome back to my channel. I am going to go over my October reading wrap up with you guys today. It is November 7th. And if you see me looking over at my screen, it's because I typed up a bunch of notes and things so that I kind of had something to talk about instead of just rambling, you know. So I am in the process of working on my November TBR at the moment. But I was also reading during this October TBR. I was reading Haunting Adeline and Do Not Disturb by Frida McFadden. I wasn't able to finish them in the end of October, so I did finish them during this last week in November. So they're going to be included on my November reading wrap up just because I finished them in November. So just so you guys know, you're not going to see those ones in this vlog, but you will see them in the next month's vlog, like the next month's reading wrap up. So the first book that I read this month was Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Maurer. I'm definitely saying her last name wrong, and I'm so very sorry if you ever see this. But I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed this. It was really lighthearted, even though they had some topics of death that were included. The relationship between Evie and Tristan is very cute. It's not super romantic at all in this book. Like, there's one instance where there's a kiss, but it's not just like out of a romance kind of thing. It's because they need like a distraction, or it's like a ploy. It's something that just saves them. But you can definitely see that romance blossoming during this book. I love the relationship between Evie and her little sister. It's a very cute relationship. This story basically follows Evie. She's a girl whose mother died when she was younger, and she ended up having to take care of her father and her younger sister because her father is very ill, and she ends up losing her job and wanders off. She's in the woods. She took like a little walk into the woods over to the stream, and she like splashed the cold water on her face, and then she started seeing like blood in the water, and you know, being any sane person, she followed it, and ends up with this person who turns out to be the villain, the big bad villain of their town, that everybody's afraid of. And he basically offers her a job as his assistant, and with this situation she's in and needing the money, she decides to say yes. So the story follows her working for him and seeing how he lives and what his life is like. But you don't get to see a lot of their romance. It's slowly blossoming in this book, but it's a very cute like relationship nonetheless. I really enjoyed her relationship too between her and her coworkers and the villain. It was really fun to see him like stepping more outside of his comfort zone and like joking around with his employees and stuff, so that was really fun. But overall, I really liked this. I thought this was a really fun read. It was quick. It was a fun read, and it wasn't like super high stakes either. It did leave off on a cliffhanger though, and I will be reading the next one because I do have it. I think I got it on Kindle, but I do have the next one that I will be reading at some point. But it did leave off on a cliffhanger, so just beware. Also, I have to say it because I absolutely love him. Little Kingsley, this little frog right here. He's the cutest thing. He is a little side character, and he really needs to have more role in these books because he's just so cute. He walks around and he listens to conversations, and he just holds up a single sign, a one-word sign, and the word changes with whatever he wants to say. But this sign right here says help, because you'll have to read the book to find out, but he follows the villain somewhere and ends up holding up the sign like help, and the villain's like, why do you always try to get away? I take good care of you. But I really enjoyed this. If you like this, do go check it out. Just make sure that, you know, nothing is going to be triggering for you. Like I said, there is a loss that's talked about in this book, a couple losses, so just keep that in mind when you're reading it. And then we moved on to The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager, and this book had me thrown like I was in a freaking tornado. The twists that just kept on twisting. Like, I thought that we were done, and then they just kept coming, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I really loved this book. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I was hooked from the beginning. It has a great story, wonderful characters, and the twists just kept coming, like I said. I was on the edge of my seat so much during this book, especially toward like the second half, where everything just really starts kicking into high gear. There were so many things that I just did not see coming in the slightest, and I'm probably going to say that all the time because I'm oblivious, and I'm sure that I'm never going to see the twists coming until they do, because I need to find out at the same time the character does, or it's just not right. So I'm always taken aback. But this one just had like multiple twists at the end that I just kept reeling. Like, I'd be reading and going, and not knowing how to handle myself. So this one was really good. This is the story of a washed-up actress named Casey who retreats to her family's lake house on Lake Glen, I think it's called, to get away from the media and stuff after her husband's death. And she kind of goes down like an alcoholic rabbit hole, and she's not doing well. So she goes to her family's cottage on the lake as a little retreat to try to get away and kind of center herself and get back to her being her. And while she's there, she ends up befriending a former runway model named Catherine Royce, her and her husband bought the house across the lake from her family's house. And one day, she becomes friends with Catherine because she saves her out of the lake from drowning. Casey saves Catherine when she drowns. And they just become quick friends. And then all of a sudden, Catherine goes missing. And Casey automatically assumes that it was her husband, that her husband had something to do with it, and he's the reason that she's gone. So she starts spying and trying to figure out the mystery of what happened to Catherine. And it's a wild ride, guys. Like, she has an older friend who lives on the lake. He's like a friend of her family's that's lived there for a long time. He also lives on the other side of the lake next to Catherine's house. And then there's a guy named Boone who is a former police officer who lives next door. He's like staying at the house next door to hers while he's fixing it up for the couple that lives there. And she and Boone bond over the fact that they both lost their spouses, which that's a trigger warning in this, guys. Make sure she loses her husband and this guy loses his wife, and just make sure you're checking all your trigger warnings and stuff, making sure just that because your mental health is important, so please make sure that a book is going to be okay for you before you pick it up. But this was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. The twists at the end, there was like 3 or 4 of them, and I just couldn't handle my life. I didn't know what I was doing, but it ends on, like, I liked the ending. It kind of tied everything up, and I didn't feel like I had questions, which was good. But I thought it was really, really good. I highly recommend this if you are looking for a thriller. It was really good. I'm definitely going to be looking up some more Riley Sager books because I really enjoyed his writing. And this book was pretty easy to read. Like, I got confused once in a while just with the twists and stuff and certain things that happened, but I was always able to like wrap my head around it at some point. So I really enjoyed this one. If you are looking for a thriller, definitely pick up The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. The next book that I did, I don't have physically. I listened to it on Audible, but it was Leather and Lark by Bryn Weaver. I absolutely adore that series. Like, Butcher and Blackbird, Leather and Lark, I loved them both so much. The plot for Leather and Lark, well, I'll start with the description. This book follows Lark, who is Sloane's best friend, and Rowan's older brother, Lachlan, and it follows the two of them kind of building a relationship. They have a moment at the beginning of the book where they meet and they don't know really who the other one is, and they have this like make-out session real quick, and then they hate each other. Rewind. They meet each other at the very beginning, and then they meet each other again at Rowan and Sloane's house, and they have this moment where they make out on the balcony, and then they figure out who the other one is, and they go back to, like, immediate, they despise each other, because they despised each other from the first night that they met. And it ends up being that they're forced into a marriage to protect Sloane and Rowan. And during this whole time, you just see their love blossom and grow, and them starting to fall for each other. And it's a really good story. I really enjoyed it. It's definitely got very explicit sexual content, so please check your trigger warnings on this as well. But I really enjoyed this. I love the comedy of these books. Like, there's always such witty banter and fun things that happen between the characters that I really, really enjoy. So if you're looking for something, like, a nice way to step into dark romance without it being, like, really dark, like the Cat and Mouse Duet that I'm currently reading, I would definitely look at Leather and Lark, because it's both a dark romance, but it's also got a lot of comedy and, like, little funny things sprinkled throughout, which help a lot, like, kind of get you into it. But I gave that a 4.75, and I highly recommend that one as well. I can't wait for Scythe and Sparrow to come out, which is the third book, following the third brother in the group. Then I moved on to Legends and Lattes by Travis Beldry. This book was super cozy and just, like, the perfect fall palette cleanser. Like, this is a very easy, fun, simple read. It's about an orc named Viv who used to be a, like, contract killer kind of thing, like a bounty hunter, essentially. And she decides she's gonna hang up her sword and become a cafe owner. So she goes to this town, she buys this plot with a building on it, and the story's basically about her renovating this building into her personal into, like, this cafe that she wants. And you see her build relationships with make friends and build these relationships, and you get to, the story is literally just going through her renovating and making friends and adding stuff to her menu. So I really enjoyed this. It was very, very cute, cozy, calm. It was a really good book for that. I do have, what is it called? Something in Bone Dust? Bookshops and Bone Dust. I have that book as well that I want to read. So I highly recommend this if you're just looking for something quick and easy that's, like, very cozy. And it's fantasy, but it's not high stakes. It's very low stakes fantasy. I love the found family that's in this, and the plot is very, very cozy and sweet. Yeah, that's basically it. There's also, like, this mythical cat thing. It's like a ghost cat thing. I don't know. It's this cat thing that appears throughout this book, and they call it Amity, and it's so cute. And it's so moody, and I absolutely love it. But it's a really good book, so if you're looking for something just cozy, easy to read, and fun, I would definitely pick this one up. And then we moved on to my baby, Phantasma. I gave Phantasma 5 stars. I couldn't help it. I absolutely adored this book. Blackwell I love him. He's fantastic. I did not see the twist at the end of this book coming at all. I was so shocked. I was laying in bed, reading in the dark with my flashlights shining on the ceiling so that it would light up my pages while my fiance was sleeping. And I like, could not help it that I was like, holy shit, when the twist happened, and he goes, oh boy. He just knew. He knew something happened. But I really, really enjoyed this. I didn't see the twist coming. It was really, really good. I really enjoy the premise of this book. It's basically, we follow this girl named Ophelia, she's got a sister named Genevieve who's a little bit younger than her, but their mother passes away. And her sister, in hopes of trying to fix the debt that they're in so that they can keep their house, goes to Phantasma, which is it's like the devil's game, and you go in and you compete in these trials and stuff, and the last person standing gets a devil's wish. And if you win the devil's wish, you basically can ask for anything. You can get anything that you want. So her sister Genevieve goes in to Phantasma to try to win, to get them out of debt so that they can keep their home after their mother dies. And Ophelia finds out that her sister potentially went into Phantasma, so she goes and also puts herself into Phantasma so that she can get to the certain level where she can find her sister and convince her sister to leave so that they can go and her sister doesn't die, because like you either win the levels or you die. So it's following her in this competition, and it's 7 trials based on the 7 deadly sins, and then there's 2 more trials that you have to do after the fact. But once you hit the 7th trial, the 6th or 7th trial, I forget which one, after you complete it, you're able to move about the mansion like freely. Up until that point, each contestant is put into a wing. Like, they have other contestants in it, but they're all split up into wings, and you can only stay within your wing of the mansion until you pass that certain level, that certain trial, and then you're able to walk around and see what other contestants there are throughout the place. But Ophelia meets a phantom named Blackwell, and he basically offers her a deal that he will protect her during the haunts that happen when she's not in the trials, because the house like just throws haunts at you and tries to terrorize you even when you're not in the trials, so you're never safe. And that he'll help her through the trials as well if she will help him find the 2 things he needs to be freed from Phantasma, because right now, for as long as he can remember, he's been trapped in this mansion, and he's been in Phantasma this whole time. He doesn't remember why. He doesn't really remember much of his past, but he needs her to find these 2 things to help free him, which he didn't even know what they were, but they met before she got into Phantasma. She was walking past and he was drawn to her, and he told her that he needed these 2 things, and when she finds herself in Phantasma and sees him again, she goes, "You told me that you needed to find these 2 things to be free." And he was like, "What did I tell you?" Because he didn't remember. So they end up working together, and a romance starts budding. There is explicit sexual content in this as well, so please check your trigger warnings. But this is really, really good, and I really, really enjoyed it. I love the premise of the 7 deadly sins and the trials. The trials were a bit rushed for me. I can agree with other people that are saying that, like, the trials seemed like a secondary thing compared to the romance and stuff. But I really did overall enjoy this. It's on top of the fact that the trials can kill you. There's also, like, the biggest rule in Phantasma is not to fall in love. Because if you fall in love, you get cursed. Because the devil or whatever that runs this Phantasma place, he was put there by his father, who's like the big devil of the underworld, and he puts him there because he had chosen a love over his father, and his father killed his love and then sentenced him to this place to run it. And now if anybody falls in love with him, Phantasma, they get cursed. So even though he's trying to protect her and help her, he's also putting her in a situation where it could be very, very dangerous for her. But overall, I really liked this. I loved their relationship between the 2 of them. The spiciness was quite spicy, but it was really good, and I really liked the premise of it as well. There's also a really, really cute ghost cat in this one that's super cute, and I absolutely love. So if you like that, please go check that out as well. And then my final book, because the other 2 that I was reading during this time are going to be in November's reading wrap-up. The last one I read was The X-Hex by Erin Sterling. This was a very cute read as well. Very cute, very cozy. I gave this one 4 stars. It was perfect to read during October, during like the fall spooky season. It's not really a spooky book. It's not like scary or anything, but it's a really good book, and this book follows Vivi, who, when she was 19, she dated this guy named Reese Penhallow during college. She was 19 years old. They dated for like 3 months or something, and then he ended up leaving to go back home because he was only there for a short time. And when he leaves, like, he breaks her heart, because you'll find out that part in the story, but he breaks her heart, and she, like, fake curses him with her cousin, and nothing happens until he comes back into town. It's like 8 or 10 years later or something. Let me see. I think it says it. 9 years later, right in the middle. 9 years later, Reese comes back to town to recharge the ley lines and attend the fall festival. And it's found out that that fake curse that they put on him 9 years prior was in fact a real curse, but it only affects him when he's within the town's borders. So when he came back after those 9 years, all of a sudden he's cursed when he's in this town. But it follows the two of them kind of reconnecting and having to work together, even though they kind of can't stand each other, in order to break the curse and save their town. And it's just a really cute, cozy read. There was definitely spice. It wasn't too overwhelming. It goes from like lovers to enemies to lovers again, and it's a really cute, cozy book, and it's really short. It's a quick read. I enjoyed it a lot. It was the perfect, nice, cozy read again for the fall, but still had some more aspects, like spicy aspects to it and stuff like that. So if you enjoy that, please do check this out. I'm looking forward to reading her other books as well. But that was the last book I read for October, and I'm very excited. I'm really enjoying that I'm getting back into my reading journey, and I have a lot of, that's my November TBR up there, which I'm very excited about. But yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you guys enjoy my takes on each book. If you have other thoughts, or if you want to share what you thought of the books, please do feel free to comment. I would love to hear what you have to say. Thank you guys for checking out my video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!